Hello, welcome to my channel. In this video I am responding to Ordo Templi Aurora. He made a video called Desteni, Preacher of Hate, Bernard Poolman. In fact, it's a number of videos. This is part 1 I'm discussing. And I have listened to the video and I have identified 3 lines of attack, which are manufactured lies, which I'm going to be addressing. So the first lie is based on some of the quotes that I'm going to be reading here. Desteni is a fascist organization, and Bernard Poolman's Desteni is a centralized regime run as a dictatorship which advocates strictly regimented economic, industrial and social controls. It has more in common with religion than any equal rights group. Desteni has no hierarchy. It's a group of people who operate as equals, where each person counts equally. Bernard Poolman is the most experienced person in the group who has stood up for equality the longest, and has functioned, in fact, indeed, from a starting point of what is best for all. And a hierarchical order would mean the idea of manipulation as modus operandi, which is, in fact, absent from the principle of equality. Let's move on to lie number 2. I quote, "It suppresses free speech and forcibly attempts to censor criticism and opposition." End of quote. Here the author of the video abuses free speech. In fact, he's using the argument of free speech to promote hate speech, because none of his points are rooted in actuality, in what Desteni advocates. I continue, I quote, "Its extensive use of propaganda utilizes democratic procedures for an anti-democratic cause." End of quote. Propaganda is understood as the dissemination of information that is meant to harm people and groups, institutions, nations, etc. And democratic procedures for an anti-democratic cause. Equality isn't an anti-democratic cause. Equality is the most democratic cause. When everyone is equal and everyone has a shared responsibility in creating equality, it couldn't be more democratic. We have never lived a democratic reality. We have lived in hierarchy and systems with various isms that are based on some people having more power over other people who have less power. The very nature of equality is that the power is within the individual. Line number 3, I quote, "Its devotees say Desteni is all about equality and like nothing that has ever existed before, but Desteni uses the same exploitative methods of mind control found in mystical, religious and quasi-religious thought reform cults, and is a hierarchical organization, not a collective of equals." End of quote. I assume here that he's talking about self-forgiveness practice. I do not see any indication of what exploitative methods are defined as in his view. We practice a form of mind release and not a mind control, which is self-forgiveness. And the practice of self-forgiveness is to release fears and limitations that keep us from understanding that we're all equals and keep us from seeing what needs to be done to operate from a starting point that is best for all. I continue. I quote, "Mystical notions of enlightenment or ascension are scoffed at by Desteni." Unquote. So here we see a very contradictory statement. He's first accusing Desteni of being a religious organization steeped in mysticism and spirituality. Now he's stating that mystical notions of enlightenment or ascension are scoffed at by Desteni. What we say about enlightenment, first of all, we are not a religious organization. I've stated that already. We have extensive videos on why religion is a fallacy on the website. Enlightenment is a belief. It's based on imagination. It doesn't have a relation to reality. With a long history of religion we can look back onto, we can see very clearly that it has never changed the way we live. It has never ended poverty or starvation or injustice. Therefore, from the Destonian point of view, from the principle of equality, there is no place for the imagination of enlightenment or ascension. Hence, that is a consistent approach in terms of the acknowledgement that there is no God and that religion has no place in making a change in this world. I continue, I quote, "They believe theirs is the only valid interpretation of the truth, yet claim to have no beliefs." Unquote. Interpretation of the truth. That's already, again, a contradiction. Truth doesn't need to be interpreted. If you're interpreting truth, you're manipulating the truth because you're describing the truth from a particular point of view, a particular opinion, a particular perspective. Equality doesn't need interpretation. Equality, used as a principle, says only one thing. It says that everyone is equal. So there's no interpretation of what part of equality is more equal than another part. It's all equal. It's the basic principle. No, we do not operate from a belief system. We acknowledge that each one of us has beliefs, and that is something we are in the process of releasing through self-forgiveness practice. Beliefs are only necessary if you are operating from the point of polarization, where you are defending an opinion, a point of view. And under the principle of equality, a belief has no place, because you can use common sense and what is best for all to figure out what has to be done. I now conclude. The author of the video suffers from cognitive dissonance. He shows every indication of cognitive dissonance. His line of argumentation is entirely inconsistent. It displays anxiety. He has completely ignored any facts that are written and documented on Desteni's website, in the members' blogs, in the interviews. He's mostly operating from a place of anger and rage, hate. Anyone who has listened to his video, I highly recommend to go to the Desteni website and investigate for yourself and see what Desteni stands for in its entirety. It will undermine absolutely every statement that is made in the author's video. Thank you for listening.